From west to east and kingdom to kingdom, you're listening to the Diz Unplugged Connecting with Walt podcast. Connecting with Walt is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel, experts at helping you plan the perfect Disney vacation. Visit them on the web at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. Hello and welcome to episode 176 of the Diz Unplugged Connecting with Walt podcast. I am your host and Diz historian Michael Bowling, and I am joined by my co-host, producer, and good friend Craig Williams. Craig, how are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you, Michael?
I'm doing well, thank you. Well, for many of us, Disney is central to our holiday celebrations year-round, which includes visiting Walt Disney World or Disneyland. With the pandemic, this has been an impossibility for many of us. However, our guests today have created a truly magical book that brings the holidays of the parks into our homes. Craig and I are delighted to have Becky Cline, director of the Walt Disney Archives, Graham Allan, a leader in digital transformation initiatives for the media and entertainment industry and a frequent writer for D23 Magazine and D23.com, and Charlie Price, author for Disney Publishing Worldwide and production coordinator for Disney Television Animation. And they are the creators of a spectacular new book, Holiday Magic at the Disney Parks, Celebrations Around the World from Fall to Winter. Welcome to Connecting with Walt.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I can't think of a better way for us to kick off our holiday season here than to talk about how Disney celebrates, celebrations around the world. So for multitudes around the world, including touches of Disney is central to their holiday decorating and celebrations. And I can't think of another company that people have welcomed into their homes and lives like the Walt Disney Company. What do you believe makes Disney so unique that it goes to the heart of people's lives and emotions, especially during the holiday seasons?
I think the thing that's so wonderful about Disney is that it's all about family and tradition and legacy and, of course, magic. And so all of those things are part of everything we do at Disney, but particularly at the holiday season, they want to bring back those emotions, to shared feelings and legacy and traditions. And that's what we do best. And so I think it's kind of a natural fit between the two. And, it's a commercial enterprise, obviously, where it's a business, but we try really hard to share the emotion and the happiness, and people love that, to experience that at the parks.
Yeah, I think it really all boils down to the storytelling and the details, and that storytelling is really present in all the heart that you see in all the different Disney movies, and it really translates well into the parks, especially at nighttime. I feel like that's when the parks really come alive, and they really look to also touch each one of your senses. You're not just seeing the decorations, you're hearing the music on Main Street, you're smelling that fresh candy cane. It's when you taste it, obviously that's one of the best parts, is that yummy food. So every sense is really emphasized, and that really gets into your heart, and that provides so many memories, and people want to share those memories with their family members and their friends, and that creates even more memories and great joy during the holidays when you visit or even think of Disney.
I think Becky said one of the magic words there, tradition. I mean, the holidays are so much about tradition and reminiscing and remembering the past. And I think for many of us, it's neatest experiences we have had are in a Disney film, in a Disney theme park, watching a Disney television show as a family together. And so it's sort of natural to go back and bring those forward into our current holiday celebrations, and just it rekindles those lovely memories of the past.
I agree. And I think that's what's so special about the book, is that when you go through it, and we're going to get into it a little more, is I know when I read it, and it brought back so many memories of when I was a little boy up until, taking my granddaughter to the park. I mean, it's really captured the magic of Disney during the holidays. What inspired you to tell the story of holiday magic at the Disney parks?
Well, it started, 10 years ago. Over 10 years ago, in 2009, D23 wanted to write an article for their winter edition of the magazine. It was the first year of their Disney 23 magazine. So they asked me to do just a quick article about how Disney celebrates the holidays at the parks. And I thought, well, I should bring somebody in to work on this with me. And that person was Graham Allan. Graham is a huge fan of the holidays. He surpasses me by far with his joy in decorating and celebrating. And so I thought Graham would be the perfect person. He and I did candlelight together for many years. That's how we met. And so I dragged him into it and asked him if he wanted to work with me on this article. And the minute we finished the article, we realized we had way more material than we could have possibly put in a magazine article. And we both agreed that it should be a book. So we started kicking around the idea. And then a few years later, I'll let Graham tell the rest of the story about how it came to be.
Well, I think it was the scale of what we found when we were researching magazine article it was so clear to us that there was at least a book's worth. When we wrote the article, it actually took longer for us to cull the article down to the size that the D23 people wanted than it took to write the article and find the material in the first place. And that's no joke. The scale of material, also the nature of the material. That we found so many pictures that we just thought, wow, that's amazing. And we're not sure that anybody's ever seen that picture before. How can we give that a platform? And, we were originally thinking Christmas. That was the genesis of this. And as we started talking with publishing folks, they said, aim higher, aim bigger, bigger than just Christmas. How about all the winter holidays? How about all of the fall and winter holidays? Because the fall holidays, particularly Halloween, has become a particularly big thing for Disney parks. And Charlie had been exploring similar ideas with publishing. And so publishing joined us all together and said, aim really, really big with this. Go tackle all of the fall and winter holidays. And I think we knew that it was going to take more than one pair of hands to pull that off. Charlie?
Yeah, and once we started collaborating together, we found so much material, even more than when we were originally working on it, that they doubled the book size because it was just so immense. We kept going further and further and finding more and more information. I mean, when you think of Christmas at the parks, you're looking at it since the opening of the parks that year in 55. And then Halloween, it's been a little more sporadic. So we just had so much to go off of. And that's why the way the book is laid out, it's 25, it's the first 4 chapters are Halloween. And then the rest of the book is Christmas because it's just so immense throughout the parks. And we were surprised as we went along just by how many details there were and how much passion goes into this project. And as you can probably guess, we're all fans of Halloween and Christmas. So we really enjoyed the experience of getting to dive into this subject.
Mm-hmm. And it shows in the book. And in your book, Holiday Magic at the Disney Parks, there's a lot of history about Walt Disney and Disneyland in its early years. And Walt introduced holiday celebrations fairly soon after the park opened. Disneyland was already successful, so why did he bring in Halloween and Christmas celebrations?
Well, Walt knew that repeat visits to the park were going to be important. And yes, when the park first opened, there was a lot of interest and a lot of curiosity about the park. And so they were inundated with visitors and everything. So I think he wasn't worried about, having people come, but then, how to spread that out and keep people coming. At the time they would close down at different times. The park wasn't open every single day like it is now. But Walt wanted repeat visitors. And so he knew to get that, he would need to have fresh offerings. Well, there wasn't a whole lot of money left. He had to mortgage, a lot and beg for a lot of money to get the park built in the first place. So they had other attractions that would be coming along, but he knew that having events would be very important. Plus, he had experienced the appetite for events in the local communities. The Halloween festival, the Anaheim Halloween parade, and the local things were very popular, and he knew that he needed the goodwill and the interest of the local people down there in what is now Orange County, Anaheim area. And so he wanted these events. Plus, Walt loved Christmases and circuses and parades and shows, and he loved all that kind of thing. And so I'm sure he wanted to offer it. So he started from at the very beginning with a big opening day parade, and then had the very first Halloween events that year in 1955, and then the Mickey Mouse Club Circus in 55 as well, which doubled as a Halloween, doubled as a Christmas and circus event at the park.
Yeah. Now compared to today, the early holiday celebrations at Disneyland were fairly simple. But for those of us who enjoy Disney history, the book has many historical photos of those early years. It really must have been something to dig through the archives and find those photos.
Oh yeah, that's one of my favorite things. Of course, we have a selection of books in the archives that are called the Red Books. And what the Disneyland events team used to do every year, they would put together a book, and they would bind all the information about the events for that year. And they got bigger and bigger each year. But we have a huge collection of these books, and it shows everything, including the publicity photos that were taken for the event, and the invitations, and the letters that went out to the participants, and how the parade was lined up, and all these kind of things, and all the details of making these events work. And they're fascinating. And so going through those, there were a lot of photos in there that we didn't have negatives for, and Disneyland didn't have anymore. So they've never been seen. And so we were able to pull out some of those prints and scan them and put them in the book. So there's photos in there of the early years at Disneyland that nobody's seen before because they've never been published.
That was important to us, is that we wanted to try and showcase as much as we could that was new. It's sort of inevitable that some of the real iconic photographs have been seen before, have been seen a lot. We tried really hard where we could to find new images that hadn't been seen before. As Becky said, many of those old pictures, the negatives, are long, long gone. And all that we had was a crinkled print marked up with grease pencil that we had to fix in Photoshop to make it usable again. But some of them were just too good not to try and digitally restore. And we hope that we can give some new life to images that have been buried in the vaults for decades.
We were also very lucky too, because we worked with our different friends around the world where they have photo archives at the different locations, and they were able to share photos in their collections that the public has never seen before, from Disneyland to Disney World to the international parks as well. And that was a real treat. I know I only got to go to the Disneyland one, but Graham got to go to pretty much all of them and scour the different photos and see what goodies were around and available.
Yeah, the slide vault room at Walt Disney World is a pretty remarkable place if you happen to like looking at the vintage images. And, they were so kind in letting me spend essentially 2 days there going through looking for some of the gems that were on our hit list, things that we knew we wanted to include, but that had not previously been digitized or scanned. The company's actually rather good at looking after these old assets, these libraries of images. And sometimes you just have to go there. When it's on slides, you have to go visit them in order to browse. There's no digital library to browse.
What was fun, though, because you do cover the Haunted Mansion Holiday, both for the Disneyland version and the Tokyo Disneyland version. It's fun to see that what it might look like if they ever did it at Walt Disney World.
Japan has a similar track layout to Walt Disney World. And so they felt it was good to introduce it to that audience because they have a big affinity for Nightmare Before Christmas. We were fortunate enough to actually get a lot of the original artwork. Yes. Steve Davison had it. He got it down from Disneyland, and he let us borrow it, and Becky's team scanned it. So we had access to all this great, wonderful material and great artwork, and getting a chance to go through the attraction and going through it with one of the art directors was fantastic because we got to learn all these little nuances of why something is there or why they put things, little homages to their friends and family. Like if you go into the attic, you would see all of the different names. Those are all people that worked on the attraction or their friends and family that you see on all of the name tags. So everything it's amazing to just see all the detail that they put in. And Tokyo actually was the first to introduce Sally. They had very strong Sally presence for that attraction, and they love it. I got a chance to go to that. Actually, we've all been to the Tokyo parks, and it is just one of the most amazing experiences to see something very familiar, but also very different when you go over there. Since they have the different aesthetic, they have all the different static characters of the denizens of Halloween Town. So it's got a bit of a different feel as you go through, but still a lot of very familiar elements. But yeah, we really enjoyed going through that attraction and spending hours in it photographing. Sometimes it was a challenge, as Graham and Becky would know, trying to get it with the show lighting, because that lighting is very dark. So we have to sometimes take multiple trips to go down there to get just the right photos.
Well, I used to collect photos when I was a boy. I used to collect postcards when I was a boy, especially when I went to the park in the early days to Disneyland, because those are always the perfect angles on the perfect conditions. And that's one of the things that's so amazing about your book, is because it is filled with, I don't know how many thousands of photos that are all perfect. And under the great lighting conditions, you have taken those little Disney photos of those Disney details that we all wish our cameras could get close-ups of, but quite can't do it. So, and also what I love is there's a lot of concept art in the book, like you were talking about. Even of those floats Becky talked about, there's sketches of some of them, those early parade floats in the book. And so that's one of the things I really enjoy about the book is that history.
So there's 1,883 images in the book.
Oh my goodness.
Not that we're counting or anything.
And how many did you take?
We took, yes, I actually do have the spreadsheet up. We took a grand total ourselves. So obviously, we lost count of how many pictures we looked at in vaults and archives. And there are, I think, literally millions of those photographs in the various vaults around the world. Of the pictures we took ourselves on our journey, 80,872.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I can't imagine the process for selecting 1,000, little over 1,000 photos out of 80,000.
Well, that's why it took a while.
As I took 10 years.
Well, one of the things you mentioned with the professional looking photography, Graham is a professional photographer, among many things that he does. So his eye and aesthetic for how things were laid out really influenced the layout of the book overall. So he had a huge hand in that for how it looked.
And actually, it was, I think, helpful. Ultimately, there's that Disney publishing people did allow me to do the layouts too, and sort of place the pictures in the book, and it meant that I knew which angle I wanted as I was taking pictures of the recent stuff. I knew which angle to take, or if I didn't, I would take like 3 or 4 different angles and then arrange it on the page appropriately. And there were some occasions where we didn't have the picture we wanted, and so we went back and we would if we could, we would go back and reshoot, because if something's worth doing, it's worth doing well, and we hope that the book reflects that sort of passion for doing it well. And telling a story, we were acutely aware of the fact that we were telling our story with images, and that we were showcasing the work of all of the amazing, talented artists who create the decorations themselves or who create the shows. We have to do justice to their amazing work. And so we felt it was worth, being fairly painstaking in our image selection and in our image placement on the page. Thank you for noticing, by the way.
Yes, exactly. We set ourselves some parameters. We wanted to cover all the parks, all the resorts, all the cruise ships. We wanted to pay homage to all of them at both the winter and the autumn season. So we kind of knew the outline of what we wanted to do. But Graham has said in the past, and I agree completely, that most of the photos that we took were from the point of view of a visitor at the park. We wanted to try to give you that experience, not so much, we're employees of the company or we work for the company, we have special access, which we do. There are certain shots that couldn't be taken during working, when guests were in the park. We had to do some behind the scenes and some after hours filming and shooting. But for the most part, what you see in the book, you can see if you go down Main Street or you look in a window, or you can go and look up close at these decor pieces and truly see that as a guest. And so we wanted to make sure that was the experience that you get as you're reading the book.
Were there any surprise shots that you got? Because like one of my favorite shots as I was looking through is the one that is from the yacht club looking out towards the lighthouse dock area that is completely foggy, and it's like it has this mysticism to it almost. And that's one of those shots that you just have to get lucky, and you walk outside and you find that it's a completely foggy morning, and it just makes for this stunning photograph. Were there any other ones that you took personally that you just got it and you're like, I can't believe I actually captured that image?
There is one that I'd like to give a shout out to. He was kind of our fourth amigo, Ty Popko, who works for the Disney Archives. We were trying to get photos for one of the Halloween events, and unfortunately, the angle that we wanted to get, which was at Small World Holiday, it was closed. They were starting to get it ready for Christmas, and Ty just started looking around, and he found a shot of a balloon. And the firework, he positioned it so when the firework went off, it was right behind it. And it was just in the moment. And it was absolutely just brilliant timing on his part to make something out of absolutely nothing.
There was another shot, too, that it was very rainy that day. We were at Disneyland doing some of the Halloween photography. And we were up on top of the deck, the entrance area for
Ghost Galaxy.
Space Mountain, that's what it was. Ghost Galaxy at Space Mountain. And we just happened to be shooting. And just as I think it was Ty took that one too, just as he was shooting, there was a big bolt of lightning next to the mountain. And so that picture is in there. And that was, serendipity. It just happened. And so there's some photos like that. There's others just really great photos that everybody took in that book that are just spectacular. So I love, and Graham took the beautiful photos that silhouette Walt and Mickey, the partner statue in front of the castles. And those I just think are superb. And some of my favorite photos in the book.
The notion of luck is throughout this book, being in the right place at the right time. I will say that picture with the fog, I was actually at Walt Disney World staying at the yacht club for work. I was not there specifically to do a Christmas shoot, although of course I had my camera. And I woke up and looked out the window in the morning, and it was fog over the lake. And I thought, this is an opportunity not to be missed. And so I was actually a little bit late for my first meeting of the day because I was determined to go out and get shots like that. I can tell you there's one other favorite I think I have in the book that was also true luck, and it's right at the end of the Christmas decor chapter. It's Disney Springs in Florida, and it's in the market building, and it's a reindeer sculpture. It's a sort of a metal reindeer sculpture with jewels, sort of jewel encrusted head, and just the way that the ray of sunshine is coming in through the roof, it hit the eye jewel and reflected right into my camera. And there's no photoshopping involved in that. This sort of the burst of light, the starburst of that light is entirely natural coming out of the jewel. And again, I could not in a million years have worked out the angle of the sun, the angle of the figure and the time of day to get that right. That was pure luck.
Well, it shows how passionate you are about the book that you missed. You were late for your first meeting to get that perfect shot.
Yeah, my team knows me well enough to not argue with that sort of excuse.
Well, and And you mentioned that you're Disney fans, and that, of course, and that definitely shows in the book because you captured so many things that are traditions for Disney theme park fans. For instance, a tradition for many is riding the Walt Disney World monorail to the resorts to see the decorations and the gingerbread houses. And of course, you take us to each of these resorts in your book, Holiday Magic at the Disney Parks, through beautiful photos. You take us through the Christmas storytellers at Epcot and have photos of all of those. So when planning the book, how did you decide what memories and traditions to capture about Disneyland and Walt Disney World and the other parks?
Well, there are certain things, like you said, as fans, there are things that we particularly each love and are part of our own personal history and traditions and memories of the parks. And so we kind of compared notes and said, well, this has got to be in it. This has got to be in it. And then we looked at it holistically and just said, what is the big thing at this park? Obviously, Candlelight at Disneyland and now at Epcot were big things. And so that got its own chapter because there's such an amazing tradition and history to Candlelight that we decided to create its own chapter. But then, there's things like the Osborne Lights that were only at Disney's Hollywood Studios. And so it's like, well, we have to put that in, and we have to put in the attraction overlays and things like that. And we have to represent fireworks because those are so important. And it just became this kind of meeting of the minds where we all said, well, this has got to be in there, this. And we just made a list, really, a kind of a hit list, wish list of everything that we wanted to represent. And then we went back into our own memories and said, oh, we want Candy Cane Lane at the Disneyland Hotel, or we want the ice rink at the Disneyland Hotel. And things that are kind of buried in the past, and some of the stage shows that we fondly remember. We dug out the pictures of those things when we were researching because we knew they had to be included.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That list came fairly early on in our work of, here's the big ticket topics that we need to cover. And I don't remember a whole lot of debate over that. I think it was fairly straightforward to identify, here's the major topics that we have to cover.
And it was really fun to also hear what resonated with each one of us as well. And that kind of also got us digging into research. We did so much research online and various sources in various places, and discovering more and more things because we couldn't go to the past. But fortunately, there's a lot of people that have talked about it or dove into it, including the Diz Unplugged. So thank you for helping in your own way. But that really helped us because, we wanted to get a full picture of what we were representing. We were very conscious of also making this a coffee table book, knowing that people would then go and look through it. But if they wanted more details, then they can go and look at the chapters in the text. We're kind of like the Haunted Mansion holiday of books. September to January, you can keep us on your coffee table. There's something to see throughout that.
That's true. Well, Disneylanders will be thrilled to see that you have the holiday show for Country Bears Jamboree in there.
That's one of my favorites. I love that.
Me too.
Marvelous. And of course, we love all of the attraction overlays. But getting the newer things in, like Jingle Cruise and of course, It's a Small World Holiday and all of the older things that you can still see Country Bear Christmas at Tokyo Disneyland. So that's pretty special too. But we wanted to bring back memories for people and share what we love the most. But, something like the pageant and glory of Christmas, which isn't at Lake Buena Vista anymore because Lake Buena Vista is not there anymore in the way we remember the village. But it's really lovely to just look back and remember those things if you experience them and just to see, wow, that must have been really cool, and maybe go online or look in other places where you can find more information. And if it sparks people to be more interested in the past, that's something I'm all for.
And Graham brought back a lot of goodies, so we do have
those are adorable.
Every time he would travel, he would bring something back, and we're like, oh, please. We were so happy to get Henry and Oscar, and then Trixie and the other different characters. But we all have an affinity for the overlay attractions. And Graham actually got to visit the Tokyo version, which had been running over time, they've kept it going compared to Disneyland, which went into permanent hibernation in 2001 and Walt Disney World 2005. So it's still been around in the years to come.
One of my favorite chapters in the book is the one how you describe the process for how the parks and resorts decorate for the holidays. So were you able to go with the crews and actually see them decorate the parks and the resorts?
Yeah, there were a couple different evenings when, after the park closed, we got to spend the night there shooting as they were changing over and putting in the Halloween decor, but bringing in the giant pumpkin at Disneyland and also bringing in the Christmas tree for the winter holidays. We met with the horticulture teams, and we got to go. Graham took a lot of really great pictures of inside the warehouses where they prepare, and they work all year to do these things. There's warehouses for both Disneyland and Walt Disney World. And some of those photos are some of my favorites. I love the shot that you took of all the big vats of glitter, just, just racks and racks of big tubs of glitter. It just amazes me. And the ribbon and all the ornaments in various colors, all organized. And I'll let you guys talk a little bit about that.
Well, sort of the scale of the operation, right, is boggling. For those of us that decorate a house and what it takes to do that. I mean, you imagine decorating, a resort. It's a lot. And it is a year-long task because when the decorations are taken off stage after each season, they're all cleaned and refurbished. And for the most part, ornaments will be replaced. Bows and ribbons will be replaced, every year or every couple of years. And it takes 10 months. It takes 10 months to go through and refurbish all the decor to get it ready to go back on stage. And that's true both at Disneyland and at Walt Disney World. In Florida, they have over 300,000 square feet of production and warehouse space where they're doing this year round. I know I visited there the first time in the month of August, and they were at that time busily putting the final touches on the Disney Springs Christmas tree trail. And they loaded it all into a giant semi-trailer, and it drove off, and they park these trailers discreetly around Walt Disney World in the course of the year with the decor that's ready to install. And then when the install time comes around, they just open the doors, and there it all is. And talk about spreadsheets. They have a ton of spreadsheets that are tracking all of that through the year. They know where everything is. They know exactly, the dates it's going in, the dates it's coming off stage, the dates it will come through the production warehouse to be refurbished. It's a fairly intricately planned operation.
Yeah, one of the amazing things was their attention to detail and story. At the Florida warehouse, they have all the ornaments categorized, and there's a reason for every ornament on every tree and every location. And they know exactly what the era is, what the history of that particular ornament would be compared to that tree. So they really go into the detail and the depth. And one of the really fun things when we got to go to the Disneyland Resort Enhancement Warehouse, it's kind of like seeing your favorite things, because you go down, you're like, oh, I know that tree from this area, but they're all together. So you just imagine a row of Christmas trees and seeing things you've never seen before. Like where is that Pirates decor that's apparently at the Disneyland Hotel? I've never seen it. So it's very interesting, and getting to really meet all their artists, the way that they put these things together. They really take a lot of care and a lot of passion, and they love what they do. That's what's evident about all of their work is they know how fortunate they have that particular type of job, and they really want to show that experience off to the guest. And that was one of the greatest things for all of us, is getting a chance to just talk to them and hear their stories and the reasons why they love to work on the holidays and put everything in. That really made an impact on all of us as we got a chance to share and meet all of them. And it's also beyond that group. There's so many other groups we got a chance to work with. The resort enhancement team would show us all the window displays and kind of go through why things are there. The horticulture team backstage, the technical teams, they all open their doors to us. And I think one of the things that we're most surprised, the horticulture team, is just the science behind everything that they do. And they share with us thousands upon thousands of pictures. And for horticulture, it's always looked at as Walt wanted to be eternal bloom when he first came up with that idea. And they've carried that through out the decades. And it really shows. And we're amazed by how efficient they were, the timing, just how they changed something around. Graham had one particular experience when we were together. I'll let you tell the story of the one of the hanging flowers, Graham.
Well, the one of the flower beds, we were there the night that they did the first wave of Halloween horticulture install at Disneyland. And the plants will be replaced once or twice in the course of the season, but this was the first wave. And it's sort of an amazing blur of movement as they remove the existing plants and they till the soil and then they put the new plants in. I mean, literally minutes, single-digit minutes, they will do a whole bed. And so they were doing the bed around the flagpole at Disneyland on Town Square. And I noticed that the flowers were all in bud. This was the early hours of a Tuesday morning. I noticed that the flowers were all in bud. And I asked one of the gardeners, when will they bloom? And without missing a beat, she said, Thursday. That's the precision. And, you know, she knew the answer and she was not fazed by the question. Like this was something that was all part of the master plan of when the plants would flower. And then when the flowers start to fade, there will be another wave of plants, fresh plants that we put in.
Yeah, they can change out a flower bed about as fast as I actually water my house plants.
That's amazing. What I love is that what you learned from meeting all of these people and seeing the passion they have for their work, you carry that over so well into the book. I mean, you share their passion so well in the text, what you wrote, and through the photography that you have in there. And so it's so nice to hear you tell the story because it reflects a passion that you communicated through the book.
We all just fell in love with the people that work at the parks. You know, we love them all. They're all that passionate about what they do, whether it's the events teams or the design or horticulture team, whether it's a holiday or not. The folks that work at the parks are just the most passionate Disney fans. And I think that was what was so amazing to me, was getting to meet and know them, to see their work up close and to appreciate how hard they work and how talented and artistic they actually are. And that for me was probably one of the best experiences about working on the book was that opportunity.
Yeah.
And they're also very generous as well. They didn't have to give us access to all their pictures. They didn't have to tell us all the stories. They were also willing to share everything that they experience and the reasons why they do everything. So we felt an obligation to represent them properly, because without them, this book wouldn't be what it is. They really made all the stories that we heard went into this book, all the pictures of things they would talk about. Oh, we want to take that picture so that we can represent that based off a conversation we had at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday. Those all went into the book because we felt it was important to showcase all their amazing talents.
And I dare say there were moments where they could see us far enough, right? Where we were pausing their work so that we could take pictures or interview them, where they were under, deadlines. The night that we photographed the Disneyland Main Street window installs, my goodness, those people stopped to let us do whatever we wanted and take pictures, and they told us stories. And yet somehow they were still, under pressure to get everything done, that night. Yeah. The night that we shot inside It's a Small World, we took 3 hours to do that. And the attraction maintenance crew could not really do anything because we had the work lights off. We had the show lighting on, animation off, music off.
I was going to ask you about that.
And 3 hours, and I think we impacted their ability to get their job done that night, and yet no complaints. They were so thoughtful and generous and accommodating and letting us. I mean, I think when we said we wanted to take pictures, they assumed we'd be through in 15 minutes. They had not bargained for this group of people who were just going to inch their way through the attraction, drooling over every bauble and decoration and taking 100 pictures of every bauble and decoration along the way. But 3 hours later, we emerged at the other end, and the crew went back to work, and they were so supportive of that.
Yeah, and you have some great photos that you can't get from that canal boat.
That was one of those I talked about. That most of the time we took it from a guest perspective, but we had to get up close on the inside. And I think, just this book is a love letter and a Christmas card to the employees and the cast members at the parks all over the world that make this happen for the guests who appreciate the most. But it's the fans who work for the company who do all this. And this is just our way of showcasing them. And I think we managed to do that. And this was for a lot of it was for them.
But now, looking back over the 10 years it took to create Holiday Magic at the Disney parks, what's the fondest memory each of you will take away from this experience? Besides that you're planning the sequel to it,
Yeah.
Because you have 80,000 photos.
Going and going and going.
As long as it's once every 10 years, I think.
Gosh, I think twofold. I just loved working with these two. We had so much fun together, and it all went so smoothly. I've co-written books with other people, and it's always a joy. But I don't recall us ever disagreeing on anything or having any kind of a, at all. It was just kind of like, we're going to do this. What day can you go? Okay, I can do this and I can do that day. And then we'll meet you there and we'll do it. And we had so much fun together. So that for me was really special. Getting to know the people that we worked with at the parks, and the folks who were, they were so charmed by the idea of this book that they all gave it their all. And they were so generous and so kind to share their passion and their stories with us. So I think those were the things that probably meant the most to me overall, and then just getting to take pictures inside It's a Small World at the holidays was genius. So now I have all kinds of great decorating ideas for my own front porch.
I would echo Becky. I was a cast member at Disneyland in security in the early 2000s when they were opening California Adventure. So it was one thing to go through the park and explore by myself. It's a whole other experience when I went with Becky and Graham, because we got to explore, having your friends there and doing these great experiences. It was very, very memorable to go into Small World, Haunted Mansion Holiday. One thing in particular, and Becky and Graham know the power of this, is candlelight. I had only seen candlelight from afar on Walt Disney's 110th birthday when Kurt Russell was the narrator. And we got a chance to go and participate in watch their when they were doing the rehearsal. And there's something when you get right up against that stage and you feel the power of all those cast members' voices. I physically felt it. It was very memorable, and it gave me an instant love for candlelight. I can see why Becky and Graham have sung with that choir for years, because it's such a memorable, pleasurable experience to hear that and everybody in harmony together. We had so many great experiences together. Sometimes when things went right, sometimes when things went wrong, but we managed to work them out. Like the day that it rained, we were supposed to do fireworks, and then we got a picture of lightning and all sorts of other fun things to do. So there was so many things, and everybody was so willing to help. Every time we had so many crazy requests over time of, hey, can we do this? And most of them, they actually said yes, which we were absolutely amazed how many times people humored us during the process, because there were some crazy things that we thought of that were like, there's no way they're going to say yes to this. And most people were up for the challenge.
Yeah, I echo everything that Becky and Charlie have said there. I think the people aspect of this, the people we met, and especially working with Charlie and Becky, is just a remarkable experience. I will not soon forget, some of the travel experiences, because there was, some epic trips, trying to squeeze stuff in, like that week, doing all of Asia in a week, or there was another week where I basically visited all the vacation club properties: Disneyland, Aulani, Hilton Head, Vero Beach, and all the ones at Walt Disney World, and then covered 3 cruise ships all in the space of a week as well. The check-in agent at Honolulu Airport said I was the first person he had ever checked in going to Savannah, Georgia, from Honolulu.
There you have it.
And just because I think for me, I love travel, and it added to the experience to sort of be able to do all that. But I will not, soon forget some of those wacky travel experiences.
Well, every Disney history fan or every Disney theme park fan will enjoy many happy hours pouring through holiday magic at Disney parks, celebrations around the world from fall to winter. As we said, this isn't just a Christmas book. It's one you can display on your coffee table practically year round, because you even have Lunar New Year in there. You have Dia de los Muertos in there. So I know we just focused on Halloween and Christmas. This would be a wonderful gift for that Disney fan in your life who you think has everything. This is also would be a terrific family gift, because it's something you can share together and reminisce about your favorite holiday travels to the parks. If you're considering a trip to a park during a holiday season, this book would help you plan that experience, because you can go through all the photos and say, I want to see this. Where is this? And you can create that spreadsheet and plan your trip. So how can our listeners obtain a copy of Holiday Magic at the Disney parks?
Right now, it's available at most places that sell books. So you can get it online from Amazon, or Barnes & Noble online is on Shop Disney, I believe, right now as well. So the online, most people are buying things online these days. I know there's a lot of online Christmas shopping going on right now, but you can get them through the online, but they're in bookstores as well. So you can go to your local bookstore and get a copy as well. Unfortunately, they're not at the parks right now, but you can go to Barnes & Noble and other bookstores in your area that carry them. Wonderful.
Well, I have mine. It's always in my study right now. If I need to take a break from work right now, I've just been thumbing through it, and then I get back to work.
It's good for bicep curls too, just because it's quite heavy.
It is. I know we joked before we went on air. I asked if you were paid by the pound.
We said we wish.
I know. Well,
yes, it is. It is a little heavy. It's okay. We it means that there's lots of content for you to thumb through.
Absolutely.
And one random thing. We're not quite as sexy as a hidden Mickey, but we're all hidden in the book somewhere. You can find
us. Now I have to go back through it. Find you all.
A little scavenger hunt.
Yeah. You'll find us. Yeah. So we're in a number of places in there, so that's fun.
Well, Becky, Graham, and Charlie, thank you so much for joining us on Connecting with Walt and for creating such a beautiful book. And I hope you'll be back on the show when you have another project to share with us.
Yeah, we would be delighted to. Thank you for inviting us today.
You're welcome.
I'm excited about this.
And from all of us to all of you, a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Same to you. Thank you for
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Merry Christmas.
Thank you.